Welcome to this episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill. For today's episode, I don't know what's going on. Will's got some stuff planned. I thought it'd be fun for me to come in blind and get some blind reactions to things that I don't know.
So, today's episode, I have compiled a list of, I didn't think of exactly how I should label this, but we'll call them either cliches, metaphors, or sayings that you would see in the fight world.
All right.
So, I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
You can tell me what you think about it. And
All right.
at the end of it, I want an overrated or underrated.
Okay. All right.
So,
I think I got it. Good.
ready for number one.
Number one.
The first saying, you either win or you learn.
Okay. So what am I supposed to do right now? I'm supposed to tell you what I think of it?
Tell me what you think. Is that an overrated or underrated saying?
I
Because
think-
everyone says that.
First off, I think it's under.
See, it's both.
I think it's overrated and underrated.
Yep.
Okay. Do you agree?
I do.
Overrated and underrated? Okay. So I think it's underrated into the point that there is tremendous amounts of truth with
Absolutely.
it that you can and should learn from your losses, right? And they should be, one of your primary teachers is like your losses,
Yeah.
right? It exposes where the current weakness is or whatever that may be.
And you shouldn't be afraid to lose, too. You know what I mean?
Again, yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to lose. You shouldn't be afraid to lose, which is tough. That's tough because everybody, is afraid to lose in some magnitude, right? And the further you can get away from it, the more free you're going to be to compete at your fullest potential, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah. So that's why it's underrated because it's true. It's also overrated because you should win with the same mentality, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should win, and unless you just walked out there one punch KO, likely through exchanges things could have maybe gone better. And you should learn from your wins as well. Which I think most people do anyhow too.
I agree, but that's
I can't even think of anybody who's been like, well, I won, so I did everything right. All of our athletes, after they win, they're like, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. And I absolutely want them to enjoy the win, but that's great too.
I agree, and that's interesting. That's not why I thought you were gonna.
Well, tell me why. I want to know.
I thought you were
why.
gonna say because it's just so overused, but it's
It is
cliche
overused.
for a reason.
It's overused, but it's cliche for a reason. And I don't know, maybe it's me getting older, but because when you think of cliches, first thing you think of is old dudes.
Yeah.
It's old dudes. You know what I mean? They're always saying these cliches, and I guess I'm an old dude now.
I mean,
because
for the fight world, we
all
are.
these cliches, I'm like, yeah, man, yep, brother, that's it right there. That's the one today. Yeah.
I've got some that I'm not sure you're gonna agree with.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So I guess we could have a third category: neither underrated or overrated, appropriately rated.
Appropriately rated. I would say it's appropriately rated.
Right on.
You win or you learn.
Appropriately rated. All right, the next one. This one, I guess, isn't a cliche. It's more of a saying. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Oh, bro, it's freaking underrated. Underrated. Here goes the thing. I feel like people don't want to use it because it's it almost feels like you're trying too much.
Yeah.
Too much to be like I'm like Muhammad Ali, and when you compare yourself or try to put yourself in maybe the same space as an all-timer, you probably feel a little bit
I shouldn't be saying this.
douchey, right? I certainly shouldn't be floating putting myself in the same space as him. You know what I mean?
Could you imagine landing a hard kick and someone's like, "Yeah, Mike, that was a great kick," and you're like, "Yeah, right leg hospital, left leg cemetery."
Yeah,
you just feel
exactly.
like, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, you'd feel like it's inappropriate for you due to the greatness of the person that it originated from. But get over that, dude. It's true, right? That's what that nice looseness with that snap, bing. Yeah,
It sums up a style so perfectly.
yeah, it's so
You know what I mean?
perfect. It reminds me of a jellyfish.
Oh, interesting.
Does it remind you of a jellyfish?
No.
Oh, I mean,
but-
think about it.
I mean,
Jellyfish.
it makes total sense.
Can a jellyfish float like a butterfly? It's literally all they're
Floats
doing.
better than anything.
Yeah. Can they sting like a bee?
Sometimes worse.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, can they be like water?
Dude, I was about to say, where's that Bruce Lee book, bro? You're out here quoting Bruce
Dude,
Lee.
seems like jellyfish may be the uh, prime example of a perfect martial artist.
Perhaps that's.
Do
What
you
we
think a
just did.
jellyfish is afraid to lose?
Definitely not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But getting
All
back
right.
to the saying, so despite the fact that it is already very highly rated, and this isn't about like how high it's rated, it's about overrated, underrated. You're still going.
Well, because I think it's underrated because I think it's so highly rated that people pull themselves away from it due to feeling not worthy of it. Right? And I feel like you got to attach yourself to that anyhow. So that's why I think it's underrated. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's underrated because I think people who are actually in the lane in which they have the skills to appropriately embody that mindset in their training and hopefully their competition. I think they feel like, because it's like almost like there's like this like curve. It's like at the beginning when you don't know a lot, right? You think you're so good because
Yep.
you're just ignorant to the fact of how good really good is.
You don't know what you
And
don't
then it's
know.
like the more you know about, like, the more experience you have, the more you're aware of how you're not very good. And then eventually you curve back up to when you are aware that you are very good
Right.
and you understand what very good really is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
What's that?
So
Is that called the? Is that Dunning Kruger or something? I don't know.
could be. Could be. I would take your word for it more so than mine. I definitely did not was
I
not
might
going to
be
come up
off
with
on
that.
that,
But I feel like most people who should be like using it are on that downswing, that bottom, the bottom of the barrel there, where they've got enough experience to know that they're not good.
Yeah.
But that's when they need to embody that mindset.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's underrated, because I feel like they're too
Interesting.
have
See,
too much humility to use it, to like, I'm not worthy of using this type of thing.
you're hitting me with takes I wasn't expecting. I'm glad we did this.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Well,
float like
what
a
do you
butterfly.
think? Is this just about what I think?
I mean, mostly. I compiled the list. With that said, I agree with you. I was going to put that as appropriately rated because
What did you expect my answer to be?
I thought you were going to say appropriately rated because, again, it's one of those things everyone says. People got shirts.
Maybe
with
I'm
it.
looking at appropriately rated as like kind of like a cop out. It's like, oh, I don't want to make the judgment call.
Don't worry, we're going to get to some where that's not going to be the case. But
Okay.
but yeah, no, I mean, I think that it's everywhere and it's become like a cliche saying in the fight world. But like you said, for a reason. And I like your reasoning that like people who should be embodying that probably are like afraid to attach themselves to like that kind of greatness.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I would feel that way. Like if I was out there, like maybe like in the media talking about I'm gonna float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, I'd feel like an idiot. I'd be
Oh,
like, damn.
me too.
I'm like, people are gonna clown me for this.
But that's
But
why-
like in my head, I should be saying it because that's how I should be moving. That's how I should be grooving.
all right, so we'll put that somewhere between appropriately and underrated.
Yeah, no, it's strongly underrated.
Strongly underrated.
I
Love
think
it.
I know the audience. My
There you
audience.
go. All right, this one I think is gonna be fun. The saying is, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Man, overrated.
Lay it on me.
Man, overrated. Dude, like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I mean, like in the end of it, if you can make it to that, like that's the thing, dude.
Sometimes,
Like
sometimes.
sometimes. I mean, it's possible, not probable.
I would argue in the amount of time that I've been a coach, which is my entire adult life, in the very large sample size that I have, talent usually wins when it comes down to like actual fighting. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like if it comes to like learning martial arts, if it comes to becoming a good coach, there's all kinds of other things. We're working hard, and I think in life, working hard is an important thing. But when it comes just down to fighting,
Okay,
talent is more important.
maybe like, dude, yeah, talent is more important.
John
And
Jones on coke beating DC. Like
yeah, come on now. Like, there's that, and then there's also like, it's like, what is talent? Like, what are we saying talent is? Is it just? I think the first thing someone thinks of when they hear talent is athletic ability. Right. Which I think a little deeper than that. Right. Like
agree.
a talent, like
for fighting
using like one of,
specifically.
if I were to use one of my students, right? Christian Schaefer is ridiculously talented. He's not the most athletic, but I've never met somebody who can learn like he can.
Absolutely.
You know? So like, it's just like, that's like, to me, that's like a crazy talent.
100%.
So like, why is Christian like so good in 3.75 years of training.
Yeah.
He's talented. That's it. And what's he talented at? Learning. Yeah.
And of course he works hard.
Yeah,
But
he works hard. But like it's not like
if
he's
I
just been
worked-
like only grind. Yeah.
if I worked twice as hard as him, he would still
You're
be
not
better
catching.
than me.
Yeah. That's what I'm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the talent and like talent's just gonna win. You know what I mean? And like
And again, sometimes
if
it
you're
doesn't.
not far off on talent, then like your work ethic can overcome
Right.
maybe like a certain talent gap.
There's degrees to everything.
Yeah, there's
But
degrees, but
generally speaking,
yeah.
well, what's your official rating?
My official rating, it's overrated.
Yeah.
Because it's
I'm putting that as
'cause it's
highly
wrong.
overrated. Yeah.
it's wrong.
The majority of the time, it's just not the case. You
yeah.
know? All right. See, I knew we'd get to
But
some.
talent can work like so not hard that it's irrelevant.
Right, exactly,
Like
'cause-
you can be as talented as you want, but if you're not there, you're not there.
Exactly.
You're not there. So like, it's talent that is available.
Yep. Degrees of everything.
Yeah.
Love it. The official rating, overrated.
Overrated.
I would put it drastically overrated.
Drastic. Off a cliff, brother.
All right. The fourth saying, don't leave it in the hands of the judges.
Overrated. Overrated. Oh, get out of here, dude. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Don't leave it in. You should be able to finish your opponent at all times. You should be so much superior to your opponents that you can finish every single fight. Who are you? Who are you? Right? Like, okay, if you can do that, you are either the GOAT or you're a coward. There's only two ways that's happening. You're the GOAT or you're a coward. That's it.
And I would even disagree with that because who's like widely considered the GOAT of MMA?
John Jones.
John Jones. Like that's a pretty.
That's my GOAT. Yeah.
It's, I mean, pretty objectively. I mean, you can make arguments, but like it's John Jones, right? Has John Jones finished every opponent?
No, he hasn't. Right.
Exactly. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also, I think it implies like.
If you're out there, but like, yeah, I'm saying like, well, that like, if you were like finishing you did your
Right.
career, you're finishing every opponent. You went undefeated. You finished all your opponents. Then you would surpass John Jones
Exactly.
in the GOAT talk. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you expect these fighters to take challenging fights. You expect these fighters. I mean, there's commissions that strive to make sure that the matchmaking is fairly
Right.
even, right? Like they're not going to let you make your debut against somebody who is 4-0 and
Exactly.
like and things like that. So with having these matches like that are supposed to be as even as possible, you expect all of a sudden just one of them is going to be so good that they can finish the other. Now in MMA, there are a lot more opportunities for the fight to be finished as opposed to the other sports that MMA is comprised of. But like you can't expect every fight to be a finish.
Of course not.
Like, do you want to like a little off topic, but like my dream fights, like okay, like everybody has dream fights, and when I'm talking about the category I'm talking about right now is like it's like a pictureless opponent, a nameless opponent, but it's just like when you went out there and you performed, you had all these techniques, right? Like whenever you're like on your runs or whatever, you're on the bike, like what are you thinking of? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking of hitting this like jab, hook, cross, change level, double leg, big takedown. Oh, and guess what else I think of? I think, oh, now I got reversed. I had to build, like,
Right,
I think of a battle,
Yeah.
right? I think of this battle. And in all of those fights, like, I think they all go to decision, right? Because I'm in this, like,
It's a worthy opponent.
I'm in this battle-tested moment, you know what I mean? That pulled everything out of me and was so competitive. Like, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. How about the judges are skilled enough to get the right call?
See, that's what I was going to get at, is I think that gets used as an excuse, and I assume, I don't know if it started with Dana White or was just, made popular with him, but like, that's an excuse for poor judging.
For poor judging.
You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I mean, not that Dana's a fan of poor judging, but like, it puts the onus on the fighter. Like, imagine if I was like, all right, you're going to go to work, and unless you do everything perfectly, you might just not get paid, or you might get paid half. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, okay, well, you have to, do this impossible task, which, by the way, there's another guy trying to do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So, like-
yeah, you're out here, you're wiring this house, and this dude's coming out here and just cutting your
Yeah, exactly.
following you around, pop, 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 right? Like so, like, dude, yeah, completely overrated. And it's a shame. It's a shame that that's a realistic saying that still gets used, and my hope is that one day that'll be an underrated saying, right? Because you very rarely need to
Right.
use it, right? That judging is far more consistent across the board, and like, and, and it's like, like close fights can have altering judging, right? Like,
Right.
there's fights I'm sure that that we have watched together, and I'm like, I think A won, and you're like, I think B won, right? And it's
100%.
just like, okay, right? And like, because there is like room for personal interpretation in the
Definitely.
way that fights are being judged, but when everybody's like, what? Like, okay, right there, we'll left it in the hands. No, no,
Yeah.
get out of here. Overrated, hate it. If you say it, I probably hate you.
All right. We have a definitive overrated. I would agree with it as
That's a
well.
hot fire overrated.
Yeah.
I'm
That's.
upset.
I knew I had some good
Next.
ones. All right. Next one. Always have your hands up.
Overrated. That's stupid.
Yes.
I hate that. That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
Okay. Again, who? Give me three. Who are some of the best fighters? Period. Overall, ever.
Fighters overall, but here goes who you're looking for. You're looking for Israel Adesanya. You're looking for Anderson Silva and
John Jones.
John Jones. Like, yeah,
You're
dude.
telling
Like,
me you can never find times where they don't have their hands in different positions?
yeah, no, their hands are absolutely in different positions,
Yeah.
and that's why I gave you those specific examples, because those primarily have their hands in
Yeah.
different positions. Like, find times their hands are up. You know what I mean?
And honestly,
Honestly, their hands are up. Like if I try to like envision like Anderson Silva's fights, like I feel like his hands are up only like for like
very
posturing of it,
specific.
or like, so they're up for like correct moments, right? For correct moments, but also like sometimes they're up for like wildly incorrect moments to be like funny. Like it's like, oh, when he fought. It was either Forrest Griffin or Stephen Bonner, and he walked himself backwards to the cage.
Bonner, yeah.
It was Bonner.
Against
They were
the
in the
cage.
middle, walked himself backwards to the cage, waved them on, and put his hands up. Right, like it was like, hey, yeah, like here,
Right.
Here, I'll go defense.
Yeah.
Right, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but like there's, especially in MMA, there's so many reasons why your hands should not always be up.
That's what I was gonna say. So I think that this probably comes from boxing. I think it comes from two things. One, from boxing, where I believe it's more important. We'll talk about that in a second. And two, I think that it gets perpetuated by people who don't know what they're talking about. Like, all the time, I'll be at fights, and one of our guys will be playing a low guard or doing whatever, and people are like, "You gotta have your hands up," and I'm like, "That's just so oversimplified and dumb." Like, here's the thing. Specifically for like MMA, there are some reasons to have your hands low. Really good reasons. Anderson Silva is a perfect example. Like, how good is Anderson Silva's wrestling?
Mid to low,
If Anderson Silva had to go into like a D1 room, how would he do?
trashed.
Yeah. Yet, he's one of the all-time great MMA fighters, right? Because his hands are down here. If you shoot on him, he's digging underhooks easy. His
Yeah, it's
defense
difficult. It's
is-
difficult to get through. So like, what do you got to do to get? What do you got to do to get a takedown? You got to get through the head hands defense,
Right.
right?
And if
in
he has
MMA,
hands
it's really
high-
easy to get below the head in MMA, right? Because we stand upright. So
Yeah.
any level change is getting you below the head.
Exactly.
Whereas in wrestling, that's far more difficult. But the hands defense is still there, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that fighters strive to do to remove the hands defense is to get what?
Hands high.
Hands up, right? Try to get their hands up. So therefore, you shouldn't always have your hands up. Should you never have your hands up? Absolutely not. There should be definitely times where your hands should be up.
Yes.
Your hands should always be in the appropriate spot for them.
Exactly.
And the appropriate spot for them is not always up.
Exactly. In fact, there's times where it's detrimental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're just outside of range, especially, that's what I was going to say about boxing, is in boxing you have bigger gloves, right? And you can hide behind your pillows a little bit, right? You can shell up, pull in nice
Yeah.
and tight, and it's very unlikely that another big glove is going to
Get through,
your
yeah.
shell. Whereas in 4-ounce gloves,
They get through all the time.
yeah, dude, a shell is a very temporary and very, like, mid defense. You know what I mean? Like, your guard should
is.
be way more active. That's why you see in 1FC a lot of the like Thai champions get knocked out because they're used to shelling. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? In 4-ounce gloves, you have to have a more active guard. You have to be catching
Yeah.
punches. You have to be moving your head. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so to just oversimplify it, say you always have to have your hands high.
Yeah, hella overrated, like
Very
super overrated.
overrated.
Dang. What was the last one?
The one before that, was don't leave it in the hands of the judges.
Yeah, dude, these are you coming in with some fire here. Like, I hate this. I hate this segment. This segment's upsetting me. Hold on, I don't think I'm done.
Okay. Because this next one I think you're going to be opinionated about as well.
Oh man, Ugh, I'm getting fired up. But like, would you ever recommend any of your fighters to not put their hands up?
At times, yeah.
Have you ever recommended any specific fighter to maybe never put their hands up?
I wouldn't say never.
Well, like
but
almost never. Maybe someone with like not great at defending body shots, but like just gonna move their head out of the way.
I mean, I suppose. For me, it would be someone who has good head movement, good defense overall, and is long.
Maybe good distance control.
Yeah, probably good wrestling too.
Maybe weak body.
Are we allowed to say that now that you're retired?
Yeah. Yeah, Will tell me like hands down, hands down. Dude, if I got hit with a body shot,
Play low guard.
I was done. But like very, very few times in my entire career did like strikes land on me on my head. Like,
dude, and if they did, it's not gonna do anything. I remember punching you in the head sometimes back when we would spar hard, and I'd be like, dude, how did you just walk through that? I remember hitting you with a teep one time in the body. Like, wasn't even that hard. Like, you know exactly which teep I'm talking about too. And it like wasn't even that hard, and I remember like, and then you just started hawking at me.
Yeah, dude. Like I just couldn't take the body shots. Like I don't know, wasn't built for that. But like,
dude, totally.
I was fully built for moving my head out of the way.
Oh, dude, your ability to dictate engagements, fantastic.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen punches just like stop right here. Like I just like knew for a fact it wasn't touching me.
Oh yeah,
just like,
for
nope,
sure.
Nope. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page.
All right. Oh my goodness. That was fun.
All right, let's go on to the next one. So, what do we just have? All right, this one isn't like a saying. It's the terminology around something. But is it underrated or overrated to call it a lockdown instead of a scorpion hook?
Okay. It's overrated to call it a lockdown. Like, it's not locking. The purpose of it is not to lock you down. It's an offensive technique. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe Eddie Bravo first termed it the lockdown because potentially when he was initially utilizing it, it was to prevent forward pressure on passing, right? But since then, and maybe even then, like I don't know, that was before me. So, but since then, like it is an offensive tool from a bottom half guard position.
It sweeps.
And it is not about locking you down. In fact, it's about elevating you up.
And moving you around.
Yeah, and movement. Yeah. So it's the opposite of locking you down.
You know, it's funny. I got Eddie Bravo's book back in like, I don't know, 2008 or something, whenever, I thought that was, the big thing. And I saw that technique in there. And it talks about in the book how like, oh yeah, at a high level it won't happen, but like low level guys will tap to that. Like it was even considered a submission.
Oh my God. Bro, I was in that era.
Yeah.
That's my era. That's when I started, dude. That was a submission.
Yeah.
That was a submission when I started.
Isn't that crazy?
Like I love to talk about that. I love like whenever no, not now. Okay. Like in classes, like whenever like we start teaching scorpion hook or scorpion hook comes up, I love like cuz like even someone brand new, like someone who's newly experiencing it, it's the first time like they're not going to tap to it. And I'm like, man, I don't know what we were doing, but we were all like, we were tapping people out and getting tapped out by this.
As soon as you felt like some pressure,
yeah,
like,
oh no, yeah. Dude, actually, I'm like, it's so weird. But like, I feel like in that era we were tougher. Somehow not with that though.
Yeah.
Like in that era, like, dude, like we would like not like you didn't tap to an arm lock until after your arm popped.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, my arm's extended. The next thing that happens is the pops,
Striking.
So I got to stop this, right? Like, and then it was like, can't tap it. It didn't pop yet. Like,
And striking training was just like full on sparring. Yeah.
Right. Dude, I didn't spar in big. I sparred full go, little gloves every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so
ridiculous. Oh, unreal. So, yeah.
Yeah, overrated.
I agree. Although, this is what I was going to say. You might have actually been teaching the class. This was years ago. I hopped into a gi class, and I don't think scorpion hooks were what we were going over, but I was going with a dude who came in wearing a blue belt. I'd never seen him before, And he was like, oh yeah, I haven't trained jiu-jitsu in like 5 years or something. I'm like, oh dude, right on, like.
I remember.
And I was like, I'm the perfect guy, I'm inviting, I'm gonna like go at the correct intensity. And we start going live. We're starting in half guard. I put him in scorpion hook like I do to everyone, and he just forward pressures like super super hard, and it was the loudest I've ever heard someone's knee pop. It was just gong. I was like, oh my god, this guy's never coming back, and he didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's completely on you. Like, like, I don't even know what to tell you.
Also,
like, it could be your first day. It's a freak accident. It could be your first day. It's like, it's like you're going against your body.
Yeah.
You're doing that to yourself.
Yeah, your body's telling you don't go forward.
You're hurt. You hurt yourself, right? Like that's what you did.
I agree. But anyways, that's the only time I've ever seen it like effectively as a submission.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is.
All right. I think we're both on the same page there.
Yeah.
All right. This one I'm interested. Styles make fights.
Styles make fights. Well, I mean, I'm going to say appropriately rated.
That's kind of where I am. It's both.
I mean, like, people, I don't know. I mean, no, I mean, it's 100% appropriately rated. It's 100% appropriately rated.
Well, okay, so here's my thought on it. That's 100% true. Styles make fights, and
because it's just true.
It is true.
Now, the context and what you're using it.
Well, also, I think it's overused is the problem, and that's why you could say it's potentially overrated. But I think it evens out.
Well, why do you think it's overused?
People just say that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, especially when they don't know like what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, oh,
it's like a cop out answer to cover up
exactly
not knowing what you're talking about.
Oh, he got caught.
Yeah, it's also
that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's not on your list.
I don't think so. It might be. I'll have to check. But
like, overrated.
Yeah, that's such a cop out.
Okay,
such a cop out. Like, yeah, unless you threw your face into someone's fist, like, and even then, like, it just, that's getting caught is not.
Here goes something like getting caught. Like maybe like what would you consider, like if you have back control, and like they like leg lock you from inside your back control. You know what I mean? Like the ankle cross thing.
That's on you. I don't think you got caught.
So is there just no getting caught?
I mean, I would say, let's say that the first 2 rounds are real close. Like, imagine we're cornering someone, right? And we're like, listen, those first 2 rounds, real close. You're trying to use this game plan, which results in you not getting hit that much, but we don't know what's going to happen here. And then we've got 30 seconds left in the round, and we're pretty sure that our guy's losing. And we're just like, just stand in the middle and hook, see what happens. And they just stand in the middle and hook and literally get caught. It's like, it's not used in the same way that like people would say that like, oh, he got caught, but like that I think is getting caught when you're like, I'm going to stand in the pocket and throw.
Okay, so you say you can get caught.
You can get caught, but like I think it's a cop out because again, you're making it seem like the other guy didn't intend to.
I'm starting to think you can't get caught. I'm starting to think it's not a thing.
I might be with you on this.
Because like even then, like that was an intentional choice, right? Like my intentional choice to cross my legs, although I would not tap to that. I would not. I'd let my ankle pop. Like I'm not gonna tap to that.
Definitely.
I might not even tap to it in practice. I might at the gym. I might let you pop my ankle. I don't think I'm gonna tap. I don't think so. I don't know. Definitely not in a competition.
Yeah, for sure.
But in practice, I still might not. Okay. What was even the? I don't even remember.
So I was gonna say we went on a
getting
tangent.
caught wasn't even the one.
It was not, but we're definitely gonna go with that being overrated to a very high degree.
Highly overrated.
Honestly, not even overrated. Not real.
Not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not real. I can't go into too many details on why it's not real, but it's just not.
It is not.
Listen to your coaches.
We were on Styles Make Fights.
Oh, Styles Make Fights. Okay. Appropriately rated because Styles do, in fact, make fights. For example, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, right? Okay. We have that, right? And there's where the Styles makes fights, right?
That comes from boxing, too. The idea of punchers versus boxers versus swarmers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And they kind of have that in Muay Thai as well with, Muay Khao versus a Muay Mat and all that kind of stuff too, So like this is an idea that's been around for a long time and there's a lot of truth to it, you know what I mean? Like
there's a lot of truth to it.
If someone's never wrestled a day in their life and their first amateur fight is against a D1 wrestler, the style dictates that this guy's going to win.
Yeah.
There's a 99.9%
Yeah.
chance that D1 wrestler is gonna win.
The style dictates that this guy's gonna win.
Like 100%. You know what I mean?
It's so funny. It's true though. It's so true. But yeah, styles make fights. It's appropriately rated because it's true. And then like you go back to your old school, like, oh, grappler versus striker and stuff, and yeah, that makes a fight. Or when you go, oh, wrestler versus wrestler, and you're like, oh, like it's likely gonna be a stand-up fight, like,
Or
and, like stuff like that.
wrestler with jiu-jitsu versus wrestler with striking. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah, it makes those takedown battles real
interesting.
interesting.
The wrestling is the style that matters now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it is,
Like
yeah.
the striking doesn't matter. We already know this guy's better. The
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu doesn't matter. We already know this guy's better. The wrestling is the style that's going to matter.
Yeah.
And then we can look at that wrestling and be like, oh, this guy's style of wrestling is like, he's just a mat wrestler. He doesn't have great takedown defense, whatever. And this guy is just a, blow through double leg guy.
Yeah,
If the blow through double leg guy is the better jiu-jitsu dude, he's probably going to win.
probably. Yeah,
All right. So we're going appropriately rated.
appropriately rated.
Right on. That one, yeah, we're on the same
Man,
page.
this is funny.
This is a good one. All right. This one's going to be interesting. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
Dude, overrated.
I agree.
It's overrated, bro. The size of the dog matters a lot.
So much, dude.
It
So
matters
much.
a lot. So here, let me jump off on this. So it's been kind of funny lately. So Dante Leon, world-class grappler, currently in Flo's rankings, ranked number 2 pound for pound grappler. Actually had a match with him as a purple belt.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, ask me how I did.
How'd you do?
I did real good for like 10 seconds. No, he crushed me. We went against each other. Nogi Pans, purple belt. And yeah, he like boloed me, took my back and choked me
Which
out.
is wild because you were a great purple belt.
I was okay. He was a great purple belt. I was like mid-high.
Yeah, man.
But regardless, so he's recently been on this, like, size and strength matters, and like, yeah, like no shit, but like one of the things in jiu-jitsu is people love to be like, oh, size and strength doesn't matter. And we like that because it allows the small person to win. But when we're saying that, we're talking about there being a skill gap, right?
Significant.
Like a skill gap. And then when there's enough of a skill gap, then the size and strength doesn't matter. Okay? And people will like use Dante as like a point of reference for size and strength not mattering. First off, he's like stupid strong.
Yeah.
He's like a West Side barbell. Like, dude, like the dude is like next level strong. He's like Instagram clips of him like incline bench pressing 120-pound dumbbells. Dude, oh, by the way, he's the 155-pound Who's Number One champ. So for reference, this man, early August this year, made 155 pounds and won the Who's Number One championship on Flow Grappling. Then late September, it was, I believe, call it 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He wins the IBJJF Nogi Pan Championships at super heavyweight. Now, super heavyweight does seem like the word super heavyweight probably does kind of like have like a shocking value to it, because when I say super heavyweight, what do you think immediately?
I'm thinking MMA.
Yeah, which is 265 plus, right? Super heavyweight in the IBJJF is 215 pounds. That's the
Still
max.
215.
Ultra heavy is anything open above.
Well, what did he weigh for that?
He weighed in, I believe they posted a photo of him. He was like 170.2 or something like that.
Oh, okay. It's not even that far off.
Right. Well, I mean that's far off, dude.
From 55?
Oh, yeah, from 55.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
like how much did he gain? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like he like shot up to 212
Yeah.
and like did this. No. He competed as
Yeah.
as someone who is still perfectly capable of making lightweight.
Right.
Yeah. So okay, good. I'm glad that you brought that to reference in case people were thinking like he just like put on all this weight in between, because he did not. He weighed in at like 170, but the weight class is 215. And he won, right? And then people were like,
wild.
"Oh, here goes why size and strength doesn't matter." Because Dante won super heavyweight at Nogi Pans, and the 2019 ADCCs in the absolute, Lachlan Giles, who was a 77 kilo, which means he weighed in at 170 pounds. It was like 169.7 or something like that.
Yeah.
He submitted the heavyweight champ and then another heavyweight before losing to Gordon in the semis, and then submitted someone for third. He had like 3 heel hooks over like giants, right? And they're like, oh, it's proof that size and strength. There goes the proof. Size and strength doesn't matter. Blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's why those feats are incredible.
Yeah.
They're incredible because size and strength does matter. It does. Yeah. So yeah, the size of the dog in the fight, it matters. Now, that's why this is overrated. But there's an larger theme, which you could say it's appropriately rated, where like, yeah, like, dude, if you're like a punk, and a small dude has like that fight in him, like, like, can you beat up any how much you weigh, right? Like, can you beat up some heavyweights? Yeah, definitely. For sure, easy, yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? You can look back to I don't want to be disparaging or anything, but to some of Bob Sapp's fights. Bob Sapp's like looks fake.
We'll say some of his later fights. He has
some of his later fights. Yeah. So, but like Bob Sapp looks fake. Like he looks like a fake person. Like he's like 365 pounds shredded.
Yeah.
And like he would like have some less than stellar performances, and it looked like there was a lack of a fight in him.
And again, I kind of like what you said about how it makes those feats more impressive. So like when you get the Marcellos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you get the Frankie Edgars. Like, it's like, wow, that's super incredible. This little dude went and won. But they're the exception, not the rule. You know?
Right?
What I
mean? Yeah. And here goes bottom line. It's overrated, and it's overrated because people use that saying in reference to size not mattering when it absolutely does.
Definitely. Or even just strength. Like, imagine someone who weighs the same amount as us, but they're just like some dude who like sits at a desk all day. Like,
right.
Even
or they weigh the same amount of us and they're like super strong.
Oh, dude, how many guys have you run into where you're like, oh, he looks like normal, and then you like feel him on the mat and you're like, what? Like, how?
Yeah, I mean, I've run into those guys.
Yeah,
I run into one of them like multiple.
I was gonna
times
say, how about Chris Dempsey?
Yeah, like multiple times a week. I run into one multiple times a week. I got a couple,
dude.
I got Dempsey. I got Farman. Like,
yeah, dude.
I'm like, this can't be real.
Dude, Dempsey's the only. Well, no, there's 2 guys who have ever used jiu-jitsu to get out of my plum. Dempsey, Gary Tonin.
Oh yeah, what did Gary do? Just like backflip underneath your legs.
Pulled Ashi. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Guys
like,
have tried to pull guard before, and if they pull guard, I'm like, whoop, you're gone. But he just like a snake, just yoink. And in big gloves, he had me a heel hook in like 2 seconds. I was just like,
yeah, dude.
That actually like kind of like
he like just like it's like he just shuts off. Like he's like
he teleported.
Yeah. It's like sometimes when I try to teach like a level change, I'm like, all right, you guys are like pulling yourself down. I need you to just like shut your legs off.
Yeah.
And then re-catch yourself. Just like let them just like drop.
You
like,
gotta beat gravity.
Like yeah, imagine like a trap door on a stage. Just drops out. Drop out. Boom. Yeah.
Dude, that had me like feeling type of way for a while though, because I was like, does my clinch not work? And I was like, yeah, there's like 4 dudes in the world who can do that. Like, whatever.
Well, Dempsey will finish topside guillotines, so crossbody topside guillotines, and he was in the Pan Am quarterfinals last year, 2022 Pan Am's black belt quarterfinals, and because it was his debut at black belt, the prior Pans he was a brown belt, he came in unseeded, right? Because none of his brown belt points carried over. So he comes in unseeded, so he gets the 1 seed in the quarterfinals. Yeah. And he's got the 1 seed in a crossbody guillotine, and I'm watching it on Flow. And I can hear the guy's coach, you're fine here, you're fine. You know it can't be finished here. And I'm just sitting there like, man, like, just wait. Just wait. 5 seconds later, tap. I'm like, yeah. Be like, yeah, I mean, for normal humans, it can't be finished here.
But he's not normal.
Yeah,
the first time I ever worked with him, this is him getting out of my clinch, right? It was right before the Bellator fights that you guys both fought on that card, right?
Yeah.
And, everyone's at the gym, whatever. And Isaac was like, hey, Will, can you, I know you're going to be controlled. Can you go nice and light in little gloves with Dempsey? And I knew who he was, but I'd never worked with him or met him before. I'm like, yeah, of course. We're going nice and light, playing, being technical and everything. And every once in a while, he'd crowd me up and I'd clinch him. And, I'm like, dude, he's never getting out of this. He bear hugs me. I'm like, I got my frames. I'm all good. I start pressing out, and he just
crunched.
He didn't even have his hands linked. He just went and just bro, I've never experienced something like that, and I was like, oh my god, like there's nothing I can do here.
Yeah.
Like this dude is so strong.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's shocking, but
Yeah.
great example is why
Yeah.
size and strength matters
Yeah,
a
size
lot.
and strength matters.
All right, let's get back onto a new one here. All right, this one I actually have no idea what you're gonna say. Cardio is king.
Dude, I mean, I'm gonna say it's either I believe it's appropriately rated, and if not, then it's underrated. Because it's true.
That's kind of where I was going to
true.
go with it. Now there are exceptions.
Yeah, I mean, like you got to be skilled enough for your cardio to matter.
Well, and also like the other way, like let's say there's someone who's just like unbelievably powerful, like a prime Mike Tyson or a Rumble Johnson, and it's like maybe those guys don't have the greatest cardio, but they'll still win a lot of fights.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's that fits. I believe that fits right into what I'm saying. Is you got to have the skill to make it there, right?
Right.
Like you know what I mean? Like your cardio only matters late. Doesn't matter early.
Right.
So when you're finishing, like my early amateur career, I definitely didn't have good cardio because I'd be gassed while they were raising my hand.
Yeah.
But like I won like the majority of my fights in like the first round. And like I remember like not being happy, being like relieved, like, oh, good thing I got that finish. Else I was gonna lose because I'm done. Dude. Yeah.
That's actually another one I didn't put on the list because I couldn't find an exact quote for it. But I'm sure you've heard this. If you chase the knockout, you'll lose the decision.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, or like variations of that or whatever.
Yeah, that's overrated because that's wrong.
I agree, dude. I agree because you run into those cardio machines. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like especially I think in modern MMA, like that's a real big thing right now. Like some people they're just like, okay, if I have good enough skills to be able to push the pace, I'm gonna push the pace until this guy's tired. You know what I mean?
The thing is like cardio, dude. It's just so true. Cardio is king because it keeps you in the fight the entire time. You can break somebody. You can beat people who are actually better than you because of it. And you know, I've seen it happen.
And you can come back from adversity easier.
Yeah, you come back from adversity, and I've seen it happen. I've seen people who aren't as good beat people better than them due to cardio. You know, I've never got to experience that myself because I've never competed against somebody who was better than me, so I wouldn't know what that. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, cardio is king. You know, it is.
Agree.
I would say my biggest fear was cardio.
Dude, Chael Sonnen says that all the time. He's like, no fighter's like afraid of, X, Y, and Z. They're afraid of getting tired.
That's it. I bet you it's very common because like when I fought Steven Regman, I was kind of afraid of getting knocked out. But I would say that was probably the only fight that I've ever been in where my biggest fear wasn't being tired. That was it. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. That's the only one.
And he was a crazy knockout puncher.
Yeah, dude. I was like, oh my God, I hope this doesn't hurt. I wonder what it feels like to get knocked out because I'm about to find out. I hope it's like what they say. You just like wake up.
That's that.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the official verdict on it?
It's either appropriately rated if you believe it the way that I believe it, or it's underrated if you don't believe it. So for me, it's appropriately rated because I know the truth.
Love it. I agree. All right. I think you're going to have strong opinions on this. This is definitely a saying. It's not like a cliche or anything. The rubber guard is the best guard for MMA because it shuts down strikes.
Damn, dude. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's explicitly not the best guard for MMA. Here goes some examples. So Nino Schembri used rubber guard well, and it didn't work out so great for MMA, right? Because there was a hole in the ability to retreat out of it in a certain manner, utilizing some technique. So that's actually like why Williams guard was developed. So Sean Williams developed Williams guard because rubber guard itself, the idea of it made a ton of sense, you know, and it would be really good for MMA, but it was hard to use in MMA. On top of that too, like it's also very specific like you need a specific set of skill, like good, like very good flexibility and mobility, and more so mobility because you need strength in those
Right.
flexible positions. I I think rubber guard's good for jiu-jitsu. I see it work tremendously in jiu-jitsu. I see some guys such as like Ben Eddy. He's a really good grappler. I think he was combat jiu-jitsu world champ. So that would kind of like start to like make you think it'd work from an MMA. But I mean, we just haven't seen it used successfully in MMA. So I'm going to say that that is overrated.
I would agree. I would
Yeah.
say that's an outdated,
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and like I'm not one to go hard after it because I've had some people play a rubber guard on me, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like this is pretty legit.
Oh,
You know,
definitely.
when someone's like good at it and they know what's going on, like you're like, dang, you're like this legit. But I think what also happens is a lot of people like grasp at it without knowing like how to play it. Like for
Exactly.
example, like I don't know how to play it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So if I'm trying to play rubber guard on you and that's your litmus for what rubber guard is, you're gonna be like, rubber guard sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But like, yeah, there's some people who will tie you up, but like we just haven't seen it used well in MMA. And again, it maybe I think I think there's inherent weaknesses in it just generally. But I also think that rubber guard maybe has advanced significantly since the Nino Schembri era, and maybe because how like terrible it is to be on your back now. As if you were to look at today's day and age versus being on your back in the early 2000s, like it's a
Night
world
and
of
day.
difference.
Yeah.
So like it's just like now like no guard really has a chance to be like elite for
Right.
MMA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're not playing guard.
Yeah. Standing up is
Yeah.
the key now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in fact, people don't like guards so much that they give up turtle in order to stand.
Yeah.
Like, that's the modern
Yeah.
way of doing things.
That's what I believe.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
All right. Pretty firmly in the
Yeah, overrated.
overrated. All right. I got a few more here. This one's similar to one from before. MMA math doesn't work.
Dude, it doesn't work. I'm gonna say appropriately rated, because it doesn't.
Interesting.
You know, it doesn't work. We all know the rock paper scissors, but if I were to tell you I don't use MMA math, I'd be lying.
That's what I was about to say.
I use that shit all the
All
time.
the time.
I'm like, hey, this person beat that person who beat this person, and this person went to decision with them, and you
Yup.
finished them.
Yup.
So I think this is good for us. Like, you know what I mean? So like I certainly use MMA math. MMA math. I think it's just like, you know, it's not. I bet you know what? I bet you MMA math works like high 90s. High 90% of the time.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So,
dude, MMA math's real.
let me refine this.
Wait. Are you saying okay, go ahead.
I think you'll agree with this. I think MMA math works better at lower levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like at high levels, if you take Gaethje, Poirier.
Well, there you
and-
go. Right there, bust you because okay, how do you do MMA math with Gaethje and Poirier? They both beat each other. They both
Well,
beat each other.
Regardless of that, like let's say that they never fought each other, whatever. If you take those two and Oliveira or Chandler, any of those, exciting type of guys, right?
All of them are going to beat Oliveira if you did MMA math.
Okay, well, not only that, but like again, let's say they never fought each other and you have them fight, in alternate universes 100 times. Like, what are the outcomes of that?
Like
Anything could happen. It's
Yeah.
chaos. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, okay, yeah, I agree.
so.
Yeah, but it's a little easier at the lower levels because there's a lot less deviation.
Well, okay, so and also there's less skill overall. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like, okay, this D1 wrestler beat this guy, and we had a guy who lost to this guy. Do we want our guy to fight the D1 wrestler? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. So I would say at lower levels it's more accurate. At higher levels, they're so skilled.
So due to that, I would say that my statement stands true. 95% of it's correct because 95% of MMA is at the lower level.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a low percentage.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got next here? Oh, this one, I don't know what you're going to say about this. It's all going to come down to who wants it more.
Dude, overrated. That's just like the most garbage thing ever. So
That's what I thought you were going to say.
I had a fight. It was my first amateur title. I was fighting a friend of mine, Shane Shinaki. Long story short, we were like the two best, and we both were looking to turn pro. So we decided, hey, let's fight each other.
Right.
You know, no animosity or whatever. But the day of the fight, so as I said, we were friends. So like we're obviously friends on Facebook. He posts on Facebook something about like training harder and deserving it and wanting it more. And then I saw that. So then I posted something along the lines of, it doesn't matter who deserves it. It doesn't matter who wants it more. It just matters who's better. And that's me. Right? Like, and that's it. Like, you know? And when I posted that, a mentor of mine at the time, Matt Kaus, he was like, he called me immediately. He was like, I know you're going to win. He's like, I saw this message. I was like, I know you're going to win. And because like, you know, like he knew like me being in the right headspace was going to make a big difference. And like publicly putting that out there, like in response too,
Right.
like not just like, you
not
know,
just randomly.
Yeah, not just randomly. Like it was like in response.
Right.
I was like, it doesn't matter who deserves it. It doesn't matter who worked harder. All that matters is who's better, and that's me. You know, and like, yeah, and like that's like here goes the bottom line. That's the truth too.
It really
You know what I
is.
mean?
It really is.
Yeah.
And here's where it comes from. I think people talking about like, you know, you're in the final round, you're exhausted, and you know, maybe you're trying to like get a fighter motivated or something. Who wants it more? Do you want this more right now? You know? And
Okay, there's some truth in that. Yeah. Okay.
but also not really. Still, like I think it's a cool motivational tool.
Well, I think if you're both like dead tired,
if you're both dead tired and it's been
and you each got to dig deep, and this is like fully even,
Right.
You each got to dig deep. It is a little bit of like who's gonna want this more, right? Like if you're like in that clinch and you're both pushing, it's who gives that and like
who
gives
accepts
up.
a position.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that overall, what you said is very true.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going
Overrated.
All right. This one, I think I know what you're going to say. It's not about how many times you get knocked down, but how many times you stand up.
Overrated. This is stupid.
I agree.
I hate this. Dude, you take this one, please. You take this one. Tell me how you feel.
All right. Well, I mean, I want to know how you feel, but
How do I feel? I think it's stupid. I think it's so stupid. I'm not going to answer. That
Okay.
is dumb.
Here's why I think it's stupid. So I like this sentiment, right? And I think
The sentiment is that don't let failures stop you from trying
right,
again.
right. But you could just say exactly what you just said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to phrase it like that. Because here's the thing: if you get knocked down, okay, if we're being honest in fighting, how many knockdowns do you get in a career?
Knockdowns, like let's go. Less like, would you say 10?
It
10
depends on
drops.
the guy.
Like you get dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I would say your average is 10. and
yeah.
then
I
you
mean,
should
maybe
probably
that's
go.
I don't know, throwing numbers out there, but like, and you have again outliers. You get the Frankies, you know, who just he dropped 1,000 times and come back. But like realistically, you get dropped enough times, you go through enough wars. Now it doesn't just matter how many times, even you're willing to get back up. It matters how much damage you took. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I agree. I think that that's kind of a dumb saying because
Look, bro, everybody thinks it's a dumb saying, and I'm going to make you believe it's dumb right now. If I have a nice car, right? I got a good old 2022 Toyota RAV4, solid SUV for you and your family, but I've wrecked it 10 times. But I fixed it all 10 times. You want that car? No. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's stupid. Everybody's dumb.
Yeah.
I hate everybody. I quit. Shut the show off. I'm done.
All right. So that one's definitely going in the overrated.
Overrated.
All right. All right. I only got a couple more that are worth it here. I got something I gotta say. All right. I'm pretty sure I know what you're gonna say about this. It's gonna be a war.
Overrated.
And I was gonna combine in any sort of reference to
So
military,
like real
war.
combat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think very overrated.
As most of these things, I get the sentiment.
Yes,
Right? Like I get it.
and it would be good if you had the same,
But we're
mindset.
actually what it's going to be is an MMA contest.
Yeah, it's
That's
not gonna
actually
be
what
war.
it's going to be. It might be a tightly contested MMA contest.
You might have to
It
work
might
real
even
hard.
be a violent MMA contest. But what it's going to be is a regulated MMA contest.
Yeah, and if you get dropped, you can't call your boys and be like, "Yo, go bomb that dude."
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
It's not war.
Like yeah. It's
And
the consequences are not as severe, like nearly as severe. There's so many safety precautions in. We all went and got our medicals, we got our blood work, we all weighed in to make sure that this is like
as fair as
yeah, as
possible.
fair as possibly can be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas war, especially, I mean, let's look at the U.S. military. The idea is overwhelming force. It should not be fair at all.
Yeah.
You choose to engage when it's not fair, which, I mean, I guess
Right.
there's truth to that philosophy. But like you said, it was set to be a fair thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a while where I was like, honestly, no one should even say that. That's like super disrespectful. But then I'm like, all right. I
Yeah,
understand
but
the
it's like the sentiment, right? Yeah, like I go through those phases too, where
Right.
where I'm like, man, like, and I'm like overly like, get off my lawn with
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and then I'm like, man, I need to chill out. Like,
It always comes full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been so many things that like I was like very strongly opinionated about that like I almost think the opposite now.
Yeah.
I'm like-
I mean, dude, that's part of
I'm
being.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I get it.
That's part of growth, though.
Yeah. Oh, I have one for you.
Oh, okay.
You do a couple more because I forgot it.
Okay, maybe I'll jog your memory.
I completely forgot it right now.
Sorry,
I
got
remembered
some.
it. I remembered
Hit
it.
me, hit me.
Okay. In regards to martial arts, especially like jujitsu, but like it can be like striking, wrestling, MMA even, but like you hear it all the time in jujitsu. It's like physical or human chess. You hear them say that?
Yeah. Okay. Mixed feelings.
I
I
don't
would
have
s-
mixed feelings.
I would say it's overrated.
Overrated because it is. You know why you're saying that? Because you're right.
But here's. I understand where it comes from. It's like
Yeah, I get it too.
yeah, yeah.
I get all of them.
The idea
all of
is,
them make sense.
We're thinking our way multiple steps ahead. But here's why I don't think.
And it's like complex.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
they want to take something that is immediately viewed as a primarily like a physical thing and make it into like something that requires a strong mental either intellect, fortitude, all of it combined, right? Problem solving,
Yes.
quick-wittedness, like all of that. That's what they're trying to compare it to.
Right, and those things matter. But here's what I tell people who like don't know anything about fighting. Like if I'm somewhere not around fighters and someone like asks what I do or whatever, and like you have to explain it and stuff. When I describe MMA, I say it's a gigantic three-dimensional puzzle that as you're trying to solve it, it's also trying to unsolve itself, right? Because
That's cool.
right, like, and I think that's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, and again, obviously in chess someone's playing back, but like it's not like let's take something three-dimensional. It's not a Rubik's cube where you're like, oh, let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. I'll try this, right? Like imagine you're doing a Rubik's cube and you twist it and it just twisted another thing down here, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I wanted that piece, and you twist it the other way, and then it twisted itself the other direction. Like that's more appropriate in my mind of what MMA is.
Bro, that's really great. That's really great. So what I think of it, and I'll say this to like some of the team or students or whatever teammates and things of that. But like we bring it up. Oh, it's like chess, it's like physical chess, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's like physical chess, except my pawn can do anything I want it to do, right?
Yes.
It's like oh no, I'm not limited by this. And guess what? It never has to be your turn. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like, yeah, okay, it's physical chess. Okay, like I grab here and then you put your foot there and then I underhook here and then you hip out there. I'm like, no, dude. Actually, it's my turn. My turn. My turn. My turn. My turn. I never need to let you have a turn.
Yes, exactly.
So, and maybe I do actually like that cliche because I get to expound upon it like that. And I think like when I say it like that, it sometimes does help people. Like I've seen it in people's eyes or like reactions. Therefore, after when I'm like, yeah, it's like chess, but like but it's always my turn.
Right.
Right. And like I can see the like just like a little like that might be like just a little bit of a metaphor that helps like trigger something or inspire
Yeah,
something.
for sure. No, all these things have value, even if it's to, like you said, disprove them.
Yeah.
But I think that also it's the context in which it's said, and I think a lot of these get said by people who really don't fully understand it. You know what I mean? Like someone who they just got their blue belt, and they're trying to tell all their friends about how cool it is, and their friends are like, oh, you guys are just like rolling on the floor, and you're like, no, it's like chess. Like again, I understand where it comes from, but when you instead of a blue belt, you got one of those, then you're like,
Yeah.
it's not really like chess.
Yeah. But yeah, I get it too, though.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm pretty wishy-washy. No.
No,
All right.
I firmly think that's overrated.
Yeah, overrated.
Yeah. All right, I got a few more for you.
All right.
This one I think is going to be fast. This gets said all the time. Trust the process.
Dude, underrated.
I agree.
Underrated, dude. I mean, like, it's the hardest thing to do, and it's the it's the truest thing to do, and it's just what you have to do. It's the hardest thing to do.
Yep.
Dude, that's a huge one. Trust the process. Like, man, you could probably maybe dive in, maybe not even you could dive into it as well, but like it's kind of like it's like cooking, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like when
It's
you
like
cook
baking.
something, it's like, okay,
Because
baking.
cooking, you can taste it along the way, but baking, you're like, dude, I've got
You
flour and
you
I've
can
got
taste
this.
this along the way too. I just want I want to be UFC champion. I just want my first amateur fight, right?
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you got a little nibble.
Tastes kind of good.
But you have got a lot more ingredients to add.
Right, yeah, you got a lot more ingredients. I'm thinking like you know like slow cooking something like you
Yeah.
know, like when people like smoke something for like 20 hours or like something like that. You're trusting the process, right? Like I could throw this mug in the microwave right now. It's gonna taste like crap, but like yay, I'm gonna eat it. You know, but yeah, trusting the process, completely underrated.
There's one exception to that. If you are at a bad gym or have bad coaches.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But yeah, again, that's
so having a bad process,
right, exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
but
think
even then, it's still trust the process.
Yeah, okay. This is about or exactly what I was about to say. Is I would rather a fighter have one mediocre coach and they just do exactly what that dude says all the time than to like go to a mediocre coach and then go to a great coach, or dude, even go to a bunch of great coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, you're gonna get a piece of this dude's system and you're gonna get a piece of this dude's system, and they might not mesh.
Yeah, the odds of them meshing, and it's like one of the things. It's like you know, like I'm gonna you got there, and you probably think I'm gonna take the best of everybody's stuff, right? Like you're not getting the best of their stuff, because I promise you, every coach, to get the best of their stuff, it's part of the process. The best of them is the entirety of them, right?
Yes.
That's what makes it the best.
Yes.
You think that Six Guns is only good because of this one combination,
Right.
Like, no, it's the entirety of his system that
Exactly.
makes him good. It's not any individual thing of it. It's the entirety of it, and it has to all work together. So when you're going around like, oh, I'm going to take Will's Teep system, and I'm going to take Six Guns, this or that, and I'm going to take, my man's Justin Gaethje's coach, Whitman.
Oh, Whitman, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take his this, like, you know what I mean, like, or Henry Hoof's that, like,
Right.
Yeah, dude, you're not getting anything.
Right, exactly.
You're not getting anything.
Yeah,
You're getting a whole
hey,
bunch
dude,
of nothing.
let's go back to Bruce Lee. I hope I don't butcher this. I don't fear the man who's practiced 10,000 techniques one time. I fear the man who's practiced one technique 10,000 times. Trust the system.
Yeah, dude, trust the system, trust the process, and you got to come up with the right process. It's like when we talk about people trying to rush their way along, and like it's exciting, and you see like, oh, there goes the fight team. How can I become a part of that? And it's like, all right, well, I want to be on it right now. You're not ready, right? You know what I mean? You're not ready. You have to have the foundational requirements, and that's part of trusting the process. The process is to build your foundation, because I can't put anything on you until you have that foundation, right? I can't teach you algebra if you can't add and subtract. So you got to go learn the process of the fundamentals, right? Of our fundamentals, so that way you can add and subtract. And now that you can add and subtract, you can start to do some formulas, and then you know.
And like if you learn the fundamentals in the way that like you or I or whoever's system it is teaches it, then when you get to those more advanced concepts, they will fit in.
They fit in a lot better.
Because,
you know what this reminds me of? So my son has these large Legos, right? One of them is called Mega Blocks, and the other is called something else.
Right.
Okay? So they look identical. But the top of them, like, you know, everybody knows what a Lego looks like, right? It has the peg on the top. The top of them on the Mega Blocks, the peg is like kind of like an octagon shape, cause like a rounded, but like it doesn't have sharp, drastic octagon, but like rounded edges that make it like similar to an octagon. Whereas the other one is round. So they don't work together very well. They serve the same function.
Yep.
They look identical, but they don't they're not strong together.
And they're perfect in their system.
They're perfect. You put one in, another one of its kind, and it's locked in, right? But you put them together, they're loose and jiggly. They don't just lock in correctly.
Man, I was going into this like, hey, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me, and I think it's a very, underrated thing. But
You said trust the process and didn't expect me to go off?
well, I thought you were just going to be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. It's underrated. It's underrated because people don't believe in it.
I think it's more underrated than we'd even thought.
Maybe.
All right, you want to do? I think we got time for what? One more.
Yeah, one more.
All right, I've got a few more left. Let me see which one I think you're going to like the most. Maybe we'll have to do another one of these because some of these are good. I think you'll like them. But let's end on this one. The saying is, "I train UFC."
Okay, like let's not get worked up over it because like this, you know what? It is overrated to even talk about this. This is too old school. It's been around forever. We've been making fun. There were shirts made in like 2008 that said "I" and then a picture of a train UFC. Right? Like it's overrated to talk about it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, dude. And when I go home, me and my son are gonna go in the backyard and we're gonna train NFL. We're gonna go up to the basketball court and train NBA. You know what I mean? Dude, it's getting cold out. That river freezes over, the lawn freezes over. We're going out on the ice and we're gonna train NHL. It's so dumb. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Stop.
Oh, all right. Well, I think I know how you feel about that one then.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, if you guys liked hearing some of Mike's takes, and you guys want to hear more takes on whether it's more cliches and sayings or even other things that I could compile and bring to Mike, let us know in the comments if you dig that, and we'll do some more of it.
Yeah, we'll do some more. Yeah, cool. Well, hey, is that it?
That's all I got for you.
All right. Hey, guys, that was this episode of Listen to Your Coaches, the surprise ambush edition. We'll see you guys next time with several different arrays of topics, potentially current events on upcoming MMA fights or recent MMA fights, potential gym happenings with our gym, Stout PGH, and just really anything that we want to talk about.
Yep.
So we'll see you next time.